I was born in Payson, Utah, 1987, March 4th.
And did you grow up wanting to be a cowboy?
Growing up, I didn't want anything else besides being a cowboy. My dad was a 5-time world champion cowboy, and going to the rodeos with him, or even after he retired, and all the friends that we'd have come over and stop at the house. And so from a very young age, I was surrounded by champions and great people stopping at the house, and never dreamed of anything else other than being a rodeo cowboy.
What was your first competition?
Beating the crap out of my brother, does that count? He's older, he always got me, but probably the one that sticks out the most is the Pocatello Dodge National Circuit Finals. It's probably in 92 or 3. My brother was riding calves and I was riding sheep, and I won a trophy about this big and my brother won a trophy about that big. So at a young age, I remember climbing over into the chutes and competing. So when I was 6 years old, probably.
So did you then continue into junior rodeo, high school, and all that kind of stuff?
I did. So from there, I stuck with the sheep riding for a few years, going with my dad. But as soon as I was of age to ride junior steers and go to the junior rodeos and little britches and stuff like that, I did. I wasn't completely focused on rodeo. I enjoyed other sports, wrestling and snowmobiling and skiing with the family and making memories that way. But definitely had the drive at a young age.
Did you compete in all the events, or did you stick with the riding events?
Actually, besides sheep riding, my very first belt buckle was in the barrel racing at the Springville Junior Rodeo. I was 8 years old. But when we went to the rodeo, my dad always said, if you're going to be there, might as well enter more than once and make the best of it. And so me and my brother and sister, we did all the timed events, and I rode steers, my brother rode steers, and then when we could ride bucking horses, we did.
What is it about rodeo that made you want to continue with it as a career?
To continue with rodeo as a career, there was a lot of options when I was considering what to do in life. You hit that age and wondering what you're going to be, and there was never a second guess that I wanted to be a rodeo cowboy, but it was more or less just if the timing was right and when I was ready to rock and roll and ready to go and compete at the top level.
Did you have an idol or a mentor, anyone you looked up to?
I looked up to my dad tremendously. He was an amazing coach, very humble, a great champion, and when we would go and train and practice and things like that, it never felt like we were training or practicing. It was a lot of fun to be there. We enjoyed perfecting our craft, and I looked up to other guys also, Ty Murray, Tuff Hedeman, Clint Johnson, Brad Germanson, some of those older guys that were real tough and gritty champions, little. I just thought the world of them. They were genuine guys and great champions.
Did you ever feel overshadowed by your dad's championships?
No, heck no. I never once felt overshadowed by my dad's championships. He was, like I said, a very humble champion, and his biggest accomplishment was marrying my mom and then having kids. And we talked about his rodeo career a little bit, but he never once said, when I rode this horse, I was 90 points. It was Kaycee, how you doing? How's your riding? Is there anything you want to talk about? Or, you want to talk about hunting? So it was never, I never felt added pressure as my dad being a champion.
So when did you join the PRCA?
I bought my permit in 06 and rodeoed on my permit 06, and then my rookie year was 07.
Did you travel with anyone, or did you kind of go it alone?
I went alone a lot. In 06, I went everywhere alone in a purple Lincoln Town car. Pretty cool car. And then in 07, I started traveling with Mac and Chase Erickson and Bud Munns, a couple of great guys. They were gentlemen, true gentlemen, great guys. Taught me a lot about life, not just rodeoing. And then traveled with Tilden Hooper from 08 until the end of my career. Traveled with Jesse Davis a lot, and everybody that I traveled with had made the NFR the same year as I had, or we had a lot of success together while having a lot of fun. But the number one thing was get to the rodeo and win.
Any traveling stories that you'd like to share?
Traveling stories. Leaving guys at gas stations for a couple hours. There's so many that go on and on and on. I never got left, so it's kind of funny to me that, Tilden got left at a gas station in his sweatpants with no wallet or phone. Joe Gunderson got left in Tucson for half a day before we realized he wasn't in the van. There's so many traveling stories and mishaps that you get into, and there's things that happen when you're traveling and going up and down the road that you have no control of. And if you're with people, traveling partners that aren't happy-go-lucky guys, those situations can kind of turn into a pain in the butt. But if you have happy-go-lucky guys that roll with the punches, those situations make some great memories. And I wish I would have wrote some down and been prepared for some, behind-the-scenes shenanigans.
What was it like to make it to your first national finals?
Oh, man. My first NFR is very memorable for me. I've been going there since I was a little kid, since I was on my mom's lap, and the Vegas buzz, it didn't get to me like it did Tilden. We were coming over the hill from Utah into Vegas, and it was dark and seeing the bright lights, and we got wound up and excited. And I don't think Tilden slept for 2 days, but it was a unique, very fun experience for me to come over to the hill. I knew I was going to make it from a young age, and so it was more of a reality check for me, like, okay, here's the time, here's the lights, it's time to rock and roll. And then getting on my first horse there actually was Sammy Andrews' horse, Phantom, and my spur rowel fell out right before I was getting ready to ride, and I was like asking Tilden if I could borrow his spurs at our first NFR first round, and he thought I was joking. And one of my favorite pictures from that year is him handing a pair of spurs over the buck and shoots to me right before I was supposed to ride, and just lots of little fun memories like that.
So what was your favorite NFR then from all of your qualifications?
Golly. Favorite one. I would say probably 2011, my first world title, or 2020 during the COVID year when they had the NFR in Dallas.
What was that like? Talk a little bit more about how that changed, because previous ones have been in Vegas and then suddenly it's thrown into Texas. How did that go?
Yeah, so the NFR being moved was it was kind of a challenge for me, I guess you could say. Going to Vegas since I was a child, and then going there and finding a routine that worked for me. 2011 until 16, I felt like I had a routine down in Vegas, and I knew how to show up to compete at the top of my ability. And going to Texas during COVID and wearing masks, and you can't go there and you can't do that. That's very hard for a cowboy to understand. They're kind of the last free spirit in the United States, the real free man, and don't like to be told much. And so there was a lot of obstacles that year, a lot of challenges, a lot of distractions. My brother wrecked his plane, paralyzed from the waist down. My son was having an asthma attack during the 10th round at the NFR and had a re-ride. And there's just things that came out of nowhere for me that year. And to be in Texas and half-empty stadium and masks everywhere, there was a different vibe, and that was a proud benchmark for me, I guess you could say, to go into an unknown realm and with all the distractions and Texas and not going back to the hotel and having dinner. You got to go back to your house. Don't go socialize. It was a long, hard week for me, and to come out on top was a big one, and I think that's why it's so memorable for me.
In general, how was rodeoing during COVID? That was a challenge in itself, I would imagine.
Rodeoing during COVID was a challenge for me. I don't complain too much at all about rodeo. I'm happy and blessed that I get to be able to do it as long as I have. And there was just things that no one was using common sense. It wasn't in the rodeo world, but they were putting restrictions on rodeo that just no one was using common sense, so it was frustrating. I don't remember a time in my career ever being a guy that complained or not happy to be there. And there was a few times that year that I was mad, didn't like where I was at, pissed off at a lot of people for no reason. I had no control of it, and it was a challenging year. It was to pull into a rodeo and get your temperature checked to see if you have a fever and then shove something up your nose was not a fun thing to deal with when rodeo is a very fun environment from top to bottom and great people. And so it was disheartening, the 2020 and COVID and all the crap that it brought.
In general, what is one of your favorite rodeos to go to?
Oh man, besides Vegas?
Well, outside of COVID and outside of Las Vegas, what's one of your other favorite rodeos? Or favorites?
I'm a little biased, but Spanish Fork, Utah, the Coliseum filling. There's not a louder crowd in the nation, in my opinion, especially if the guy from Utah is competing. It gets really loud, and if you're from Spanish Fork, it even gets louder. That's an energy you can't feel anywhere else, and to control that many people, I guess you could say, and get off, and just with a handshake, you get a clap, a roar. That's a pretty special feeling. And so Spanish Fork as a competition level and energy is one of my very favorites for sure. And then stepping back in time to the Old West and the Pendleton Roundup. I feel like I was born a little late. I feel like I should have been competing in the 40s and 50s, maybe even the 60s. And so to go back to Pendleton and kind of feel that old school mentality and the old town and the old buck and chutes that feel like a dinosaur could fit in them, it makes it a very special rodeo. And the committee and how hard they work at preserving the Old West is something you have to respect.
What were your feelings when you won that first gold buckle?
Man, the first gold buckle for me, it was awesome. But it was more of deja vu. It was more of a dream come true. It wasn't like, holy crap, I won the world, It was like, yeah, I did it finally. Like, yes, I can put a stamp on it. I'm ready to get more. But very, that one was just more of a cross the goal off, go to the next one. But so I won 11, 12, 13, 14. And then when I came back for the 20 and 21 World Championships, that was like a second chance at life. And like all my friends and my family that had supported me for years were there. And it just made it, an experience and life and kids and what life brings. It just made it way more special. And it was a second chance to say thanks to the people that have supported me for the years.
So what's your favorite championship?
My favorite championship would be 2020. But it's a toss-up between my 2011 championship. In 2011, I won 6 rounds, won the Top Gun award, drew 1 crappy horse out of 10. Just felt like I don't think in my career I ever was so consistent and rode with perfection as I did in 2011.
Were there any horses that you didn't want to draw?
There's only one, and I hate him still to this day. And I heard he was sore, and I laughed. But Show Stomper of Frontier Rodeo. First time I got on him, it went well. Buck Bobby mowed off earlier that year, gave some guys some tough times, and I rode him, and it was like, man, these guys, what are they talking about? That wasn't tough. And then I got on him 3 more times. He bucked me off in Corpus Christi. And then I had him in 2017 in Cody. And I had a broke arm, and I thought I could do it. Thought I could ride him with a broke arm. In about 4 seconds, he hurt me. Like, I've never, ever in my life been yanked on like that and not hit the ground. It was like he would yank on me, I'd try to look at the ground to get off, and he would step underneath me and yank me down the other way. And it messed me up for, that's the horse that, hurt me for my career. Like, physically, mentally, I don't know what it was. I'd never had a mental block in my whole career, and I'd get on Show Stomper and I'd start sweating before I nodded. And so, Show Stomper, much respect to him, but at the same time, I can't wait till he's 6 feet under.
So on the other flip flip side of that, what horses did you want to draw?
Oh man, I love the big bad buckers. You know, not like Showstopper. He was a cheater, but Virgil, Nightcrawler, Graded Coconut. There were so many great horses. Some of Sammy's, Cool Water. The list goes on. I was in the sport for a long time, from '06 to 22, and so I got to see a lot of the very best bucking horses, and in that time, some of the greatest bucking horses. And I got to get on all of them several times, and just the ones that let you show off are the ones that I craved. And it was funny, like Nightcrawler, there would be times where she'd be in the chute dancing around, and it was like, okay, she's bringing her A game, she's fired up, you know. And then there was times she'd put her head down on the ground, and it was a little bit easier to ride, more, you know, friendly to ride, and you could show off your skills and kind of make it look cool rather than just bearing down and trying to make her ride.
Who were some of your biggest competitors?
Oh man, from the beginning, there was a lot of tough guys. Justin McDaniel, Bobby Moat, Ryan Gray. Bobby was probably one of my toughest competitors throughout my career. Him and I, you know, we butted heads when we were younger, or when I was younger and he was still old. I could get under his skin pretty quick, and I kind of knew that and would take advantage of it sometimes. Try to get in his head a little bit for some competition and play the game with him. But later in my career, and Tilden too, I mean, he was there at every rodeo with me, and he beat me a lot. Tim O'Connell was a tremendous competitor, very tough competitor. I would jack with him a little bit, and he would get fighting mad, so couldn't really mess with him a whole lot. But since then, our friendship has really flourished, and we're great friends. But Jess Pope is another one, extremely tough, Richmond champion. Yeah, a lot of good cowboys, a lot of good champions.
So from the time that you started until now, how have you seen rodeo change?
The change I've seen in rodeo over my career has been very gratifying for me. You know, when I first started, guys could make good money. There was some good bucking horses. There was some good crowds. There was TV at the NFR, maybe a couple tour rodeos. But nowadays, there's TV all the time, so more exposure for the cowboys, more dollars. The stock's better than it ever has been. The brands in the sport, you know, Ariat, War Bonnet hats, just any of the people that are involved in the sport now are putting more money into it. They're seeing how ripe the sport is, and I think that the sport of rodeo is in a better spot than when I started it, and that was one of my goals also, is I wanted to start this sport and leave it a better place. And I think, I wouldn't say that I had a lot to do with it, but there's some things and some of my experiences and my advice that I've passed on that, you know, I feel like there is reflection of that in the sport right now, and it is growing, and the youth is at an all-time high in entries, and so I think the sport is only going to get better and better and better.
What was a major obstacle that you faced?
Major obstacle that I faced besides injuries, you know, injuries come with the sport. It's known to happen. It's going to happen. I had a hip surgery that was kind of a booger. I had to relearn how to ride and lift and spur. I had a brain injury that was pretty serious and had to take a half a year off. There was some things that happened during the time off that I really grew up as a person and as a competitor, and I learned a lot about myself through those injuries. But the hardest thing for me was to leave home. Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like being away from my family. I tried to take them as much as I could, but that was the biggest obstacle for me. It was harder to leave the house than actually harder to get on a bucking horse.
Tell me about working with the military and the troops and stuff like that.
Yeah, so going overseas and visiting the troops, I've always had a deep respect for our military, but to go see war firsthand and see the things and the places that I got to see, just from my bareback rigging to go overseas all over the world was very humbling. To go and see those guys train with a purpose. I compare it to like me and Tilden, or my brother and I getting ready for a rodeo and working out and watching videos and things like that. And we're going to go in front of a crowd and have fun and probably win some money and make a cool ride. And these guys are having more fun preparing to go get shot at or go shoot people. And then to see them, unloading caskets off a C-130 on Memorial Day, that was eye-opening for me. That's to see death that close it made me grow up a lot. It made me respect not only the military more, but life. And I think that's what I credit the most to those tours is growing up as a man. I think it helped me tremendously, and I credit a lot of my success later in life to going over and witnessing the things that I did.
How did you get involved in that program?
So I was endorsed by Wrangler at the time. I'm not anymore, but I was spring breaking. We went to Florida, we went down to Houston. Tilden and I went to Houston, and we had a few days in between Houston and Arcadia. And so we went spring breaking, and we're feeling pretty good on the beach later in the afternoon, and my phone calls from Wrangler, and I'm like, crap, what could this be about? I don't know if I ought to answer this, the state of mind I'm in. And so I answer it, and it's Jeff Chadwick, and he says, hey, we've put together the Wrangler National Patriot, and anything with the star on it, that money goes toward a fallen soldier or their family. And I was like, I didn't need to hear anymore. I was like, yeah, I'm in. And he goes, well, wait, we're going to go on a trip, and we want you to come. I'm in, man. He says, well, we're going to Afghanistan the first year, and it's, considered very dangerous, and these are the things that could happen. Are you still in? I was like, yeah, you betcha. No doubt in my mind. And so from there, I got off the phone, and I was like, hey, I'm going to Afghanistan, and everybody at the beach was just like, what? Why? You quitting rodeo and you joining the Army? And so it was a neat experience for me. And from there on, I went for 6 years every Memorial Day for 2 weeks and got to explore the world.
Did you meet a lot of soldiers that hadn't ever experienced rodeo?
Oh yeah. There was a lot of soldiers over there that maybe had some Western background, maybe some farmers from back east or something like that. But it's still, if they weren't familiar with rodeo or rodeo fans, when they seen the cowboy boots and the cowboy hat, it brought joy to their face. I could see it. And so to go over there and give them a little taste of home was very, very eye-opening to me. I didn't realize the impact that I had on others and that I could make people happy that easy. And so to go over there and make people fans of rodeo and make those soldiers want to go to the next rodeo was a lot of fun for me. A lot of gratification came from that.
How do you think rodeo shaped you as a person?
I wouldn't say rodeo, I mean, I am who I am today because of rodeo, but at the same time, the way that I was raised, the things that my mom and dad taught me from a very young age, I feel like as a person from my teenage years to now, I haven't changed. My handshake still means the same, but at the same time, the wisdom that I have and the miles that I've been, the places I've seen and the people that I've got to meet, I guess would be considered, because of rodeo, and rodeo has allowed me to do a lot in life. It's taught me a lot how to be successful, how to be diligent. Resiliency is something that comes to mind, and never backing down. Now being retired for a year and venturing out into the business world, a new realm that, I didn't have a world champion business dad. I didn't, and so it's a very uncharted territories for me, and I'm really enjoying it. But if I didn't have my rodeo background, I know it would be much more of a challenge.
What was your favorite part about your whole career in rodeo?
Favorite part of my whole career in rodeo? Man, probably my friends and taking my family around the country. I got to take my kids with me for the last 3 or 4 years of my career and take them up to the favorite places I like to eat, meet some of the great people that I've got to meet around the country and the friends that I've developed. I think that's one thing that sticks out in my mind, because that's everlasting. Those kids will benefit from that for the rest of their life, and to show them that was a lot of fun, brought a lot of joy to me.
What do you think you've learned the most?
Be patient. Yeah, making money at 8 seconds at a time, you don't learn a lot of patience, but everything that leads up to that 8 seconds has to be perfect for that 8 seconds to be right. And so I think one thing that I've had to learn, like it or not, is patience.
If you could give a rookie a piece of advice, what would it be?
You know, if I could give a rookie bareback rider right now advice, you have to be smart, not only with finances and how to travel, but you have to know your body. You have to know your body. You have to understand if you're hurt or if you're injured. And if you're hurt, how far can you keep going and compete at the top of your ability before you're hurt? And so I think being an intelligent bareback rider is what I would suggest, is look at the books, study the books, learn where you win. You don't have to go to all the rodeos that everybody else does, and be strategic about your moves.
You've only been retired a year, but what are you up to now?
So I've been retired for a year. Real life has begun, I guess you could say. Busy as ever. Didn't know what busy was before, but I've got Power Pro still going. I started that business in 2018. It's growing. We're venturing out into some horse and pet products. I'll be launching that in the next couple weeks. Wore bonnet cowboy hats with my brother. He operates it. I help out a little bit. I'm the face, he's the brains. But and then I started a new one. Well, I started Payment Cowboys, and that's a credit card processing, ACH, surge charges. Really enjoying that. And then also KTK, and it's a fulfillment center. It takes up a lot of my time. I have to stay on top of a lot of relationships, but it's a very fun business. But so I guess you could say 9 to 5. I'm up at 5 and get my workout in, and that's the same routine that I did when I was rodeoing, to be the best and have clear thoughts. And so in the morning I get up and get a good workout in with some good friends, and then off to the office and take care of phone calls and take care of some work, and then try to be home before the kids get home from school.
What were your thoughts when you got the phone call saying that you were going to be inducted?
Shit. No, what amazing honor. It really is. And it came really fast. Still, I feel like I'm relatively young to be inducted into the Hall. But I was lost for words. I'm very emotional. Cried a little bit. I was at lunch with a couple associates and had to put my glasses on and step outside for a minute. But it was a very, I guess, a delightful phone call. It's, kind of the frosting on the top. It's, I guess I can't come out of retirement now for sure. This just made my answering people a little bit easier. When they ask if I'm going to come out of retirement, I'm going to say, well, I'm in the Hall of Fame, so they kind of lock the keys on me. I can't do that. But it's an honor. It really is. And then to be in here with my late father, Feild, it's a very special feeling for me. It's not like a win. It's not like winning the gold buckle and you want to throw your hands up. It's more of a get down on your knees and say thank you kind of thing.
What would your dad think about you being inducted?
Oh, he would think it's amazing. Yeah, I don't know what he would say. Good job. He was a very simple man, a few words, but I know it's cool to be a world champion with your dad, but to be in the Hall of Fame with your dad is it's special, because the way I look at him, he's a true world champion. He won the world. He won the rookie, won the world, took animals to the NFR, and then he got voted to be the pickup man by the younger generation of cowboys. He trained several world champions, college champions, and the thing, you have champions, but then you have Hall of Famers, and in my opinion, he is a true Hall of Famer. He did everything in the sport of rodeo that it had to offer, and he did it with style.